Coming up in this edition, fighting between rival ULIMO forces confirmed. ECOMOG released a schedule of implementation calling for all factions to disengage from their checkpoints by 26 September and number of men, weapons and localities for assembly and encampment sites be disclosed. Justice Minister Francis Galawolo calls for the immediate arrest and prosecution of suspected armed robbers in Liberia. Susuku adjusts its rapid disarmament initiative program. Are ex-combatants left in the cold? Council of State appoints ministerial committee to draft a status of forces agreement between the LNTG and ECOWAS and the LNTG and UNIMIL. Plus, LBS new boss takes office. What's on his agenda? The news in French and the news in Pidgin English. Fighting between the two ULIMO factions has been confirmed. The confirmation was made by the team comprising representatives from UNIMIL, ECOMOG and ULIMO, mandated by the Ceasefire Violations Committee to investigate complaints of ceasefire violations in Bopulu and Lower Lofa Bridge. A UNIMIL release says following the team's visit recently, investigations revealed that fighting between the two parties is still going on in the area around Lower Lofa Bridge. A meeting yesterday attended by all the factions, LNTG, ECOMOG and UNIMIL, decided that ULIMO-J forces disengage and withdraw from Lower Lofa Bridge to Sawmill, while ULIMO-K forces withdraw to Timber Village and Smith Camp. The disengagement and withdrawal began and is to be completed at 12 noon Saturday. Verification will be made the following Tuesday. The release says the disengagement of forces is consistent with the commitment of faction leaders at Abuja. A schedule of implementation calling for all factions to disengage from their checkpoints by the 26th of September has been released by ECOMOG. At the same time, the factions have been asked to inform ECOMOG of the number of men and weapons, as well as localities for assembly and encampment sites in the country. This was disclosed yesterday by Colonel Madi Monikata, the Malian contingent commander and chief liaison officer of ECOMOG, in a meeting with Information Minister Victoria Raffle at the Ministry of Information, Culture and Tourism. He said a committee made up of ECOMOG, UNIMIL, and all the factions have already begun meetings about modalities to disengage and demobilize all warring factions. According to a MICAT release, Colonel Monikata appealed to Information Minister to assist in disseminating information regarding the disarmament process, which has already begun. In response, Minister Raffle assured the Colonel that her ministry sees disarmament as the most important factor in bringing peace and security to the Liberian people. She said the full weight of the resources of MICAT will be utilized to encourage warring factions to follow the schedule of implementation and to fully inform the public on the progress of the disarmament process. The Minister of Justice, Francis Galawolo, says his ministry has written the Council of State to appoint a judge to preside over Criminal Court D in the prosecution of armed robbers. In an interview with ELBC News yesterday, Minister Galawolo also disclosed that suspected armed robbers are to be arrested immediately and prosecuted. He said the Justice Ministry has appealed to ECOMOG to allow the National Police to be rearmed to assist ECOMOG in curbing the alarming rate of armed robbery in Monrovia and other parts of the country. Minister Galawolo said ECOMOG has consented, but that few arms are unaccounted for, adding the peacekeepers and the Liberia National Police are working hard to locate the missing arms. The Justice Minister noted that unaccounted arms could be used by some criminals for armed robberies.
I have passed orders to the police that those people who were involved in armed robbery and are alleged must be arrested immediately. Somebody reported a case to me in Lookington that a man committed armed robbery and they saw him after a few days in the same vicinity after having been arrested and detained. So I have ordered them to rearrest this fellow. And more than that, we are trying now to get all that we have instructed the police to deal with the armed robbery thing, and we have appealed to, we have requested of ECOMOG to rearm the police so that we will assign people in the various zones. Monrovia is now divided into several zones to curb the armed robbery thing. And ECOMOG has given us the go-ahead. Ultimate role of the Minister of Justice.
The Justice Minister also spoke about the role of the Justice Ministry in the dispensation of justice to everyone.
Is to make sure that criminals are punished and to make sure that people who are suspected of having committed a crime, or people who are arrested are given their fundamental rights provided under the Constitution to a free and fair trial.
Justice Minister Francis Galawolo talking to ELBC News reporter Edward Kemokai. The Deputy Minister of Justice for Administration and Public Safety, Attorney at Law Lavela Cowboy Johnson, has observed that the proliferation of guns among civilians is dangerous to the lives and security of Liberians. Speaking Tuesday when he formally took office, Deputy Minister Johnson said while the Justice Ministry is responsible to protect lives and properties, the ministry requests all Liberians committed to peace to ensure that parties to the Abuja Accord disarm and demobilize their fighters. During the period when Liberian warring factions were reluctant to submit to disarmament, Susuku launched programs to encourage combatants to disarm to ECOMOG. To date, the Susuku Disarmament Initiative has been successful in convincing hundreds of fighters to turn in their arms to ECOMOG. Well, now that the Abuja Agreement has begun to go into swing, Susuku has announced an adjustment in its Rapid Disarmament Initiative. The organization called a news conference at its Broad Street office yesterday, where the Director General, Dr. Tupana Tipote, made the disclosure.
At this time, Susuku is very pleased indeed to announce an adjustment in its Rapid Disarmament Initiative, SUREDI, to demonstrate concrete cooperation with ECOMOG in the implementation of the disarmament schedule under the Abuja Agreement. As of now, Susuku will no longer be encouraging combatants to turn their guns and ammunition over to ECOMOG during the months of September, October, and November 1995 because, according to the Abuja Agreement, combatants are to move away from presently existing ECOMOG checkpoints while they, the combatants, undergo disengagement and remain in their respective assigned areas until the time for the physical turning over of guns and ammunition in December 1995. As of today, Susuku will be encouraging all combatants to turn over their guns and ammunition to ECOMOG during the month of December 1995. To encourage combatants to disarm to ECOMOG in December 1995, Susuku will take action to improve the living conditions of former combatants who are in the School for Guns program.
Dr. Tubana Tipote of Susuku. State Council Vice Chairman Alhaji G.V. Kromah has assured the faculty, staff, and students of the University of Liberia of the reopening of that institution within 10 days. He gave the assurance yesterday at the university campus during a guided tour of the university's facilities to acquaint himself with problems affecting the nation's highest institution of learning. According to an executive mansion release, Vice Chairman Kromah, who has oversight responsibility for the university, said he was aware of the numerous problems affecting the institution and will work with other councilmen to resolve them.
We've seen several community colleges that have opened, and this is very good at this time to serve as a supplementary resource to this university in catering to the increasing number of students and the hiccups in the higher educational system, in fact the total educational system of the country as a result of this war. We're very happy to see that. The only thing we can say further is the credibility of those institutions should be sustained and reinforced so that we do not put out en masse students or people of no substance educationally. I'm sorry, on several occasions since the past week that we have not made it possible to come here because of many things that were happening we had to take care of in the line of duty, and some of them were indirectly connected with the problems here. And I'm a little bit more optimistic about the opening of the university in the next 10 days.
Councilman Kromah, who is also a former lecturer of mass communication at the university, admonished the faculty, staff, and students not to make their problems appear like the only problem in Liberia, adding that their social and administrative problems could be collectively resolved. In separate remarks, student Augustus Passaway, National Affairs Chairman of ALSU, and the President of the University of Liberia, Dr. Patrick Sayan, enumerated the many problems facing the university that led to its closure.
As we informed you before, the university has not resumed classes since 14th August 1995 because it needs $238,500 US and $2.9 million Liberian dollars. A breakdown of the items needed. Among the items on the list are a minibus for the deans and heads of programs, renovation of 3 floors of the Elizabeth Tubman Hall for classes, classrooms, maintenance of classrooms, laboratories, and instructional materials. We wish to reiterate that the university needed $500,000 US and 10 million Liberian dollars for the 1995 fiscal period, but has only received $50,000 US and 4.6 million for salaries and operations up to May.
LU President Dr. Patrick Sayan. It's 15.5 past 7 o'clock, and you're listening to the ELBC News Hour, coming to you from Monrovia, Liberia. Still to come, Council of State appoints Ministerial Committee to draft the Status of Forces Agreement between the LNTG and ECOWAS and the LNTG and UNIMIL. Major General Enoch Dogolier urges the press to refrain from acts that undermine the peace process. LBS new boss takes office. What's on his agenda? The news in Pidgin English plus more. But for now, we join Damba Molai with the news in French.
Le président du Conseil d'État, Wilton Sankawolo, a donné l'assurance aux réfugiés et déplacés à MVTC à Ganasville et le ministère de la Santé à Congotan que le Conseil d'État est concerné par leur bien-être. Au cours de sa visite le 10 septembre dernier, M. Sankawolo a déclaré aux déplacés dans les 2 centres que le gouvernement ferait tout ce qui est nécessaire pour résoudre leurs problèmes et améliorer leurs conditions. Il les a par ailleurs exhortés de s'engager dans les activités agricoles afin de produire de la nourriture pour supplément à l'assistance humanitaire. Pendant ce temps, M. Sankawolo a promis aux personnes déplacées qu'il sollicitera l'implication du ministère de l'Agriculture et autres ONG agricoles pour leur procurer des outils et semences. Les responsables des deux centres pour déplacer ont remercié à leur tour le président de la visite. Selon eux, il a été le premier leader national à leur rendre visite, déclarant, je cite, « Ta visite nous démontre que tu as le souci de notre bien-être ». Fin de citation. L'un des membres de la présidence collective du Libéria, M. Charles Taylor, a déclaré que sa venue à Monrovia ne sera pas importante s'il ne peut pas rendre service ou prendre soin du bien-être de la population libérienne. Une dépêche du ministère de l'Information indique que M. Taylor a souligné aux résidents de Gbanga au programme de réception organisé en son honneur jeudi dernier qu'en vue de s'assurer que les convois humanitaires arrivent aux populations du profond Libéria, il fera tout pour ouvrir tous les axes routiers afin de permettre le libre mouvement des populations. M. Taylor a par ailleurs donné l'assurance aux populations de Gbanga qu'il sera toujours avec eux et les a exhortés de prier et gêner afin que ce triste chapitre que traverse la nation soit pacifiquement mis à terme. Selon lui, des gens sont restés tout le long avec lui et il n'y a aucune raison qu'il les déserte. Le leader du NPFL a promis au peuple libérien que tous les arrangements sont déjà faits avec les organisations humanitaires pour la livraison rapide de la nourriture et des médicaments. L'association chrétienne du Libéria, Charles, a félicité les membres du Conseil d'État pour leur ascendance au pouvoir et a émis l'espoir qu'étant les principaux protagonistes du conflit libérien, ils assureront le maximum de sécurité au Libéria. Dans une déclaration d'appréciation du Conseil d'État à Gbanga pendant le week-end cité par le ministère de l'Information, Charles a loué les leaders de faction pour leurs esprits de compréhension de résoudre les différends restants à Abuja récemment en vue de restaurer la paix et la stabilité au Libéria. Pendant ce temps, l'association chrétienne a aussi loué le président en exercice de la CEDEAO, Jerry John Rawlings, les membres de la sous-région et de la communauté internationale pour avoir démontré une compréhension dans la résolution du conflit libérien. Charles a aussi mis l'accent sur beaucoup plus d'assistance à restaurer la paix permanente au Libéria.
Damba Molai there with the news in French. The Council of State has appointed a three-man ministerial committee to draft a status of forces agreement between the government of Liberia and ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States, and between the government of Liberia and UNIMIL, the United Nations Observer Mission in Liberia. The ministerial committee, chaired by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, also comprises the Ministries of National Defense and Justice. The appointment of a ministerial committee to draft the status of forces agreement with ECOWAS and UNIMIL is in compliance with Section C, Article 4, Count 6 of the ECOSOMO Agreement, which states that the LNTG shall enter into a status of forces agreement with ECOWAS within 7 days, as of the sitting of the Council of State. In this connection, the Ministerial Committee is soliciting the input of professional Liberians in drafting the agreement. State Council Chairman Walton Sankawolo has called on the Liberia Marketing Association, the Drivers Union, all owners of business houses and vacant lots, and the general public to cooperate with the mayor and staff of the Monrovia City Corporation in ensuring that a major citywide cleanup campaign is effectively carried out. An executive mansion release issued yesterday says all market buildings and sites, parking and vacant lots are to be cleaned, and owners of business houses are directed to paint their shops and stores beginning now. The release says the directive was given on Monday during a meeting with the mayor of the city of Monrovia, Daniel Johnson, and the leadership of the Liberia Marketing Association. Chairman Sankawolo told them that these measures are necessary to avoid an outbreak of a serious health hazard in the city. He therefore urged all citizens to join the city government in ensuring the success of the campaign by cleaning all their homes and their surroundings. The chairman said the possibility of diseases attacking the community will remain closer to us as long as residents continue to keep their homes and surroundings dirty, particularly those places where food is being sold. Turning over formalities have taken place at the Liberia Broadcasting System. The new Director General, Mr. Mohammed Kenneth, yesterday took over from the interim management team headed by Davietta Brown. Mr. Kenneth, in remarks, paid tribute to the interim management team for a great job done in 4 months. He promised to do his best to take LBS to higher heights.
I'm making this pronouncement because I have been given assurance from the Council of State, from all government agencies that are supposed to make sure that this thing works, that they will give us their support and make sure that everything works well.
LBS Director General Mohammed Kenneth. And for the news and page in English, we join Othello Yasia.
Good morning. The new head of the ELBC radio station yesterday talked the gavel to do some of the good jobs at the station, and his name is Mr. Mohammed Kenneth. Taking office yesterday at the ELBC big headquarters in Painesville, Mr. Kenneth said nobody will use the government radio station to only talk the good name of his fighting group. He advised all of those whose hands are inside those kind of things to put stop to it right away. He said for the past years, the ELBC radio, the ELTV, people have been talking good things about it because they've been talking or doing good things for the Liberian people. He said talking the good name of a fighting group, the government radio station like ELBC are not supposed to be inside those kind of things. He said the government finished giving him the go-ahead to do the job. The government also told him they will work hand in hand with him to make sure the good things are supposed to be to ELBC, everything be there. Mr. Kenneth talked the good name of the old group that was in from the ELBC radio station and told them that he will work together with them to make sure things go on fine at the radio station. Turning over to Mr. Kenneth, the head of the acting head of the old group, Mr. Patriotic, mind you, said that he and the ELBC workers have been doing well since the move back to the headquarters there in Painesville. He said plenty of the things that they all promised to bring to ELBC, they didn't give some of them because government did not give the money she promised to give. Things like cars and other things that the ELBC radio station need, they didn't give some of them because no money. He also said that the over 10,000 US dollars that government promised to give, that one too, today, government never give it yet. The news that fighting has been going on between the two ULIMO groups around the Lofa Bridge area is true. A group that was put together some time ago to go and look into the case already finished coming with their report, and they say the news is true. With this, the group we're talking about, some people are from UNIMIL, some people from Kromah, and some people from the ULIMO side. They all make up the group. They went to check in the area, they found out that actually the two groups were fighting, talking about ULIMO-J and K. They also agree and talk to the two groups to put stop to the fighting and take their fighters from the area that they are fighting and push them back so that nobody will blow the ceasefire law. This one, they said, the two groups also agreed to it. They didn't stop there. They said they will also go there to look there to make sure nobody broke the ceasefire law. Kromah said, in line with the Abuja agreement, that all of the fighting groups are supposed to leave their checkpoints with Kromah and go to other areas. So then 1 year, it will take place on September 26th. Kromah say already fighting groups are standing by to do this. Kromah also said that all of the heads of fighting groups are supposed to send in the number of fighters they get, the kind of guns they get, the areas that their fighters are sitting down. They're supposed to let Kromah know all of this one too. They say the fighting groups are standing by to do it, and that they are doing this in line with the Abuja paper. A paper from the Ministry of Information is the one that talked this one here.
Othello Yasia with the Pidgin English News. The Vice President of the de facto National Patriotic Reconstruction Assembly, Major General Enoch Dogolie, is urging journalists to refrain from acts that have the tendency to further divide the country and undermine the peace process. According to a immediate release, General Dogolie made specific reference to some local dailies which reported last week that he was jailed by the leader of the NPFL, Mr. Charles Taylor, following a misunderstanding between the two of them. General Dogolie described the allegation as false and misleading and a scheme designed to create unnecessary tension, adding, "At no time have my leader and I had any misunderstanding. I have come to clarify this rumor." At a well-attended news conference at the Picasso Hotel, he said rumors are some of the hindrances to achieving lasting peace in Liberia over the last 5 years, noting that it's time to put aside bickering and concentrate on reuniting the country. Agriculture Minister Dr. Roland Masako yesterday outlined 5 priority projects his ministry will undertake during the second phase of the Liberia National Transitional Government. The focus, Dr. Masako said, will be on increasing food production, seed multiplication and propagation to substitute seeds importation, institutional building, training, as well as research.
In our focus right now from the ministry, and that will be told to every NGO, local or international, as to how we proceed from now on. 1, we're going to go into maximum import supply for maximum production as priority number 1. Priority number 1. Priority number 2 is multiplication and seed production. We wasted so much money in bringing in seeds. We thought it was necessary at certain times. It may not be necessary, especially if you have stability. We have to ensure that our farmers, they've done it from time immemorial. They've always utilized their own material. In fact, there's a serious reluctance for them to use improved material because they say, well, we want to stay with the things that we know.
Dr. Masako was speaking in Monrovia at the opening of a one-day seminar on cassava industrialization, jointly sponsored by FAO and his ministry. With that, we end this edition of the ELBC News Hour. We say thanks to contributors Frank Simwola, Edward Kemokai, Othello Yasia, Damba Molai, News Director of Rufina Dapo, and the rest of the crew. I'm Janet Johnson. Good morning. The time is 7:30, Patrick.
Who did you want to call news director for Kenny Sheldon?
Yeah, maybe I wanted to call for Kenny Sheldon.
How are you?
I'm fine.
I saw you were in black and white. I'm colorblind.
Yeah, this is brown and white.
Brown and white. Mm-hmm. Everything is going haywire this morning. But I think we're set on course now, and we hope to be going through until we sign up at 11. I'll see you later, Janet.
Yeah.
Good morning. This is your show. It's Informix.